In this video we want to talk about the types of costs, or I suppose more specifically the grouping of costs under different headings. And the main type of grouping we're going to look at is this distinction between direct and indirect cost. So these are the two main types. This is a very general way of grouping costs and looking at this distinction. Direct and indirect costs are used when a business produces multiple products. So it's in the case of a single product, I suppose everything is a direct cost. But in the case of multiple products, we have to look at this distinction because we need to deal with the indirect costs and try to apportion these down to the individual products. We'll talk about that again in a few moments. In order to find the full cost information for a unit of output or for a job, it is necessary to separate costs into direct and indirect. We know, for example, when we make a product how much perhaps the labour is, or the machine costs, or the raw materials, but what proportion of the administration costs of the business should be allocated to that particular product? So that is a problem. Let's start by looking at the direct costs. Well, this type of cost can be identified within a cost unit for a particular job. So this one's pretty straightforward actually. They include things like direct materials, as I said earlier, direct labour, and direct expenses, anything we can identify as going to that particular product. Indirect costs, by way of contrast, these are also known as overheads, and these are trickier to deal with and really do require the services of the management accountant, particularly in large and sophisticated organizations. This type of cost cannot be directly measured, and there is an issue of trying to work out exactly what proportion of the cost is assigned to each individual product. Examples of indirect costs could be rent or utilities, gas, electricity, water. The administration costs, general administration, and perhaps security issues, security of the business, security staff, or the administration in the wider context of the word. These costs have to be broken down and spread out to each unit, and that is where the management accountant shines. The management accountant takes the indirect costs, and on the basis of some calculation, some way of doing it that we're not going to get involved with here, we'll try to allocate those costs to the individual products to see how much of the burden of those costs should be shared by the individual products and be added on in the form of cost. So this is our basic distinction in cost between direct and indirect. It's quite straightforward, but it's a very important one, worth bearing in mind. That's it for this video, so thank you for watching.